Hey, Jeff Ray here, President, CEO, South Bend Regional Chamber, continuing our candidate interviews. I'm sitting with Andy Rutten this afternoon. Andy is a candidate for PHM School Board, the at-large seat. Andy, welcome.
Hey, thank you, Jeff. I'm glad to be here and talk about what's going on in Penn Harris Madison.
Good, sounds good. Andy, just as we get started here, if people haven't had a chance to meet you yet, tell us a little bit about you and who you are.
Well, my name is Andy Rutten. I'm running for the at-large seat for the Penn Harris Madison School Board. I am not an education professional. I am a member of the public. My son Joey just graduated from Penn High School this spring. My background is in engineering. I have a bachelor's degree in engineering from Minnesota, and I also have a master's degree in engineering from Notre Dame. And also, I am a registered licensed professional engineer with the state of Indiana. Now, so as an engineer, I'm not an education professional. I don't profess to be. But I think I do represent a segment of the community, and that's what school board is all about, is an oversight committee to monitor the school, make sure that they're responding to the community needs, and make sure that the community needs are communicated properly to the school.
Great. Andy, talk to us for a second about running for office, because not a lot of people do that. You've made the decision to seek public office. Talk about what inspired you to run for school board.
Well, this is my first time running for any elected public office. I've been involved with Penn schools, with my son, and then, increasingly in the last couple of years involved with the school board meetings. There's been a lot going on in public education. You read a lot about it in the news. Well, all that's happening here in our local Penn schools as well. I've engaged the schools a lot, trying to ask questions, trying to understand what's been going on with recent mandates, recent changes in policies regarding social issues, social priorities, and I found some success with that. They had a advisory committee where they were discussing a new policy on anti-racism issues, but they only invited certain members of the public, certain parents, to attend upon invitation only, and that just didn't seem to make sense. I had asked specifically to attend, and that was denied. I had filed a complaint with the state of Indiana, who agreed with me that those meetings were illegal. As a public school, those kinds of meetings should be open to all members of the public to attend and observe. So that was kind of a win. And at that point, I kind of realized, I was comfortable with the idea of being involved at a higher level with the school, found some success in doing so, and I've been encouraged to run. So I thought I would give it a shot. It's a call to serve the community.
Great. Andy, you mentioned so education's in the news a lot. You have just come through this period as a parent of a student in the PHM system. Tell us a little bit about, what do you think the state of public education is in the PHM system?
Well, Penn Harris Madison, we've always known them to be a very good school district. I've talked to a lot of people in the community, going canvassing neighborhood to neighborhood. And I find a lot of people have grown up their whole lives in the Penn community, but there's also a large portion who moved into the Penn school district, or in this area, the Penn schools, specifically for their education opportunity. I think Penn has always been a very good school district for the community. They do tremendous work. Some of their schools are extremely highly rated. Many kids get a good education there. I think there is some room for improvement there in education at Penn. There has been a decline in some of the education success, some of the state test mandated tests, the iLearn. There's been kind of a general decline in that area over the last 10 or 12 years. And I know there's been some changes in the format of that test, but I don't think that fully captures this general decline in test results. So I think there is a little bit of room for improvement with Penn. I think a lot of people in the community agree with me, and that's just what they're seeking. And that's what I'd like to help provide as a school board member.
Great. So Andy, talk for a second about a school board member, the characteristics that you think are most important in a school board member and how your skill set aligns with those characteristics.
Well, I think, a school board member is not an education professional. They are not tasked to interact with the kids, be in the classroom. They're not going to dictate all the details or administer school policy. So I see school board as kind of like a board of directors for a company. And what they're doing is an oversight committee to make sure the finances are in order, the school is meeting the stated objectives, and then to communicate, to understand the needs of the community regarding how much education they want, how much taxes they're willing to pay, and then also, and very importantly, to hire the chief administrative officer. That would be the superintendent of the school district. From the superintendent would then come all the hiring of the rest of the personnel throughout the school district. But it really starts at the top, and that's one of the chief responsibilities of the school board. I think the school board needs to be objective, patient, and transparent. They need to be aware of what education law is in the state of Indiana, as well as what the school policy is. School policy, written school policy, functions as local law. And so a school board member needs to be aware of that and know that these policies are helping the school district, providing the guidance of what's needed. And then especially if these policies are outdated or not efficient or not helping with teaching kids in the classroom, to look at amending those or even rescinding those policies.
Great. Andy, talk to us a second about, so should you win this election in November, talk about the things that are highest priority for you as you assume office.
Well, my number one priority is to make sure that the culture at Penn is to focus on education. Education is the top priority. And we see examples these days where other concerns, other important criteria are mentioned as the top priority. Uh, and I think we just need to be clear. Other concerns like safety and development of the students, these are important concerns. But as parents, we send our kids to school to learn. So education needs to be the top priority. I think to go along with that, specifically, classrooms are for kids to learn basics of an education. The cornerstones of an education are math, science, reading, and history. So I don't really want to see any kind of distractions, even like politics, political dialogue, political values, these kinds of personal debates. I don't feel that they're well suited for the classroom. Children are underage, they are learning, and they look to the teachers for guidance and for authority. And so when they're exposed to these kinds of situations, these distractions, they look away from education. And then so I think that so getting rid of politics out of the classroom, I think is important. I think Penn could do a little bit better with transparency and accountability. The example I mentioned earlier with that advisory committee, not being very transparent, it creates mistrust within the community. I also feel that parental rights is very important. And this doesn't need to be a tug of war with school staff, teachers, or administrators. Parents need to be encouraged to be involved in their kids' education. And I think when this happens, it benefits everybody. And I don't think that this is hotly debated. I think most everybody will agree to encourage parents to be involved in the classrooms. So when the classrooms are focused on education and distractions are removed, parents are encouraged to be involved, then the community really wants to get behind teachers and support them as the authority in the classroom, who are very compassionate, who are licensed by the state of Indiana to educate our children on the fundamentals of education.
Great. Andy, put your sales hat on for a second. Obviously, as we wrap up here, voters have a choice come November. They're going to choose a candidate for an at-large position in the PHM school board. Tell them why they should pick Andy Rutten.
Well, you know, I'm just a guy who likes his school and community, and I feel a call to serve. I feel a duty and dedication to not only my kids, but all the kids in the school district. Um, I've been working very hard to understand the needs of the community. I've gone canvassing door to door, and I have personally knocked on well over 2,000 homes within the community. One of the most common feedback that I hear from homeowners is that I was the first school board candidate to ever knock on their door. So I feel that shows a clear commitment to duty and to work hard to understand the needs of the community and translate that into improvement for our school system.
Great. Andy, if somebody wanted more information about your campaign, where would they go?
Well, I have a website, andyforphm.com, and there's also a Facebook page, Andy for PHM, and also an Instagram page for, depending on which social media people prefer. I'm also in the community. I'm out all over the community, driving around, placing yard signs, knocking on doors. I get people honking at me all the time as I'm walking around, stopping me as I'm going from door to door. So I'm really around, and so I hope people feel comfortable in reaching out and connecting with me.
Great. He's Andy Rutten. He's a candidate for PHM School Board at Large. Andy, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. Take care.